Hello, and welcome back to the Inception Review Part 4. So, where I left you off, let's get you caught up. Meanwhile, so they've determined that they're going to go in, okay? And because they've determined they're going to go in, they have to make the decisions as to how they're going to plan certain things out. Now, the last scene I left you on was when the forger was trying to gather the mannerisms of the uncle of this guy that they want to incept. And I only can come to the understanding that he was able to see and mirror this guy unless he was actually watching him. But I don't think he was watching him in that scene. That scene was creepy. I don't quite get that scene. But getting back to a scene that I skipped, this actually took place just before that. But it was conversation that had nothing to do with the people that were in the other scene. That's why. Just as what Cobb said, Anastasia decided to return. For the exact reason he said she would. She was going to be interested in going back into that experience. And that's exactly what she was. She came back because she wanted and was interested in getting back into that experience. So Arthur set her up. So he went to start teaching her how to make a loop. Okay? If you remember in the first, was the first video? It may have been my very last video, but I talked about, and it was part 2. That's what it was. It was part 2. I talked about how when he first saw Anastasia, he had made the decision to show her a loop, which is a circle or a half circle that has an arrow at the end, and then a line that goes through it, and another circular underloop, okay? And I find this interesting. Pause. I've been seeing this game pop up on my phone over and over, because I play games when I'm trying to detox my brain from my work. And it talks about how do you make a loop to make sure that the two lines don't cross. And funny enough, the creator of this game, it was created by a company called Voodoo. Why would I even mention that? Why would I bring up Voodoo? Monitoring spirits usually have to use some type of witchcraft in order to manipulate and gain access to the person's dream. Okay? And because of this, they have to use regular black magic. Certain cultures, like the Haitians have voodoo. The Puerto Ricans or Spanish have Santeria. Americans use a lot of that black magic, white magic stuff you see on television. But it's all the same thing. It's just the different cultural. It's almost like, okay, we have Christmas for Americans And then you have the Africans have Kwanzaa, while the Jews have, I don't even know if that's Jewish, but Hanukkah. It's like that. The magic is the same. All of it's witchcraft, but it's just called something different. Why did I bring that up? The loop. The game was talking about a curved loop. The movie talked about looping, creating a loop in order to create a line through the loop, meaning they were literally breaking the creative loop that the person's mind would create to infiltrate their own thoughts, their own architecture, their own viewpoint and vision for what the dream would be developed as. Okay? Why am I talking about this? Because some of you have had dreams that were affected by voodoo, witchcraft. No, I haven't. No, I'm about to tell you something that you may not have recognized. Okay? Some of you have had nightmares. One might assume a nightmare is obviously from the enemy. No. No, no, no. God pours his spirit upon all flesh. He creates the dream realm. He is the one that controls. But remember, even Satan came before the Lord, wandering the world to and fro, came before God, and God told him to go test his servant Job. God told him to go test. God allows the enemy to test you. So God is the one that has to give permission for them to have access to your dreams. If you are having a nightmare, 9 times out of 10, God gave it to you. What? Oh my God, God gave me a nightmare? God is showing you the dark places within you. And before you start saying, oh my God, I got so much darkness with it. Oh my God. Well, the first thing I'm going to ask, if you're having nightmares, what the hell are you watching? Because some of it is what you're, whatever, how many times I got to tell y'all this? What you putting in your eyes is going to affect your mind. What you are smelling, what you taste, what you hear. If you are watching, before I became Christian, I used to love to watch YouTube channels with jump scares on them. But I was too spiritual that I would have experiences, especially when I submerged myself. Like, let's say I used to write a lot of fiction, and I did. I used to write a lot of fiction, and when I turned my fiction to maybe I wanted to write a horror story, because I'm just that person that when I'm creative, I want to create, and I happened to be listening at the time to some creepy horror stories before I became Christian. And in order to create the environment, pay attention, that I wanted to create during that season of my life, in my stories, I had to submerge my spirit into dark things. So in order for me to create that, I had to submerge myself into that. Why am I saying this? In order for her to create in this dream, she had to create the environment that she wanted to create. Okay? She had to submerge herself in the understanding of how to break a loop. Now, you will on occasion create spiritual doors. You may not mean to create them. What did I just say? Eyes, ears, nose, mouth, hands. Mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, social. You may not understand it. You may not understand because you have to be alert to it. When you train yourself to be alert to it, I've trained myself in the past 8 years walking with God to be alert to, okay, that's something trying to tap into my eye gates. That's something trying to tap into me nasally. Nasally? Yeah. Have you ever been going through something and some type of spiritual attack and you breathe in something that makes you sneeze? That's a spiritual attack. Yeah. And especially if it keeps you sneezing. Or, like I said, I'm a singer. But when I sing, especially when I use my voice to the fullest of its capacity, a type of attack that comes on to me is I'll breathe in either a dust type particle or something that seems like it tastes. And it's always the same type of thing. It tastes like, you ever tasted the alcohol taste of an aerosol? Like, for instance, you have a perfume spray and you ever spray it in the air and you taste it? Every single time I would get an attack on my throat within 24 hours of singing, I tasted that taste immediately after I'd been singing for a period of time. And there was no reason for it. It'd be like I'm sitting in the house right now. There's nothing spraying. There's no one in here. There's absolutely nothing. Why would I taste that? And then within 24 hours, I can either not talk or sing. What does that have to do with the film? Because it's about taste. Have you ever had a dream where you saw the best food sitting on the plate? Let me tell you something. One of the easiest attacks that a person operating in witchcraft will do is they'll infiltrate your dreams by adding food. What? They'll add food? It's a major attack. They'll insert food into your dreams and have you eating dinner or eating breakfast or eating some type of meal, snacking on something, especially if it's an indulgence that you like in reality. They'll automatically put it in front of you and know that you're going to eat it. Why? Because the second that you eat it, you've come into direct covenant with what witchcraft they wanted to do, either to you or somebody associated with you. Because they will often, for y'all women that are waiting on your God ordained spouse, if they can get you to come into a food covenant or a sexual covenant, meaning they'll masquerade. Remember how I was talking about masquerade in part 2? They will masquerade. This is what this forger does. He masquerades as another person, but he knows how to do it well enough that you're not going to be able to tell. But I've had people come into my dream that I could tell it was them. Some of the best ones that I know that can tell. Elisa Marie always talks about it. She'd be like, yeah, I can tell. I can tell when somebody ain't supposed to be there is in my dream. Yep. Getting back to the horror. Sometimes what God can use something that you've already put into your own mind, your psyche, and previously had access to make you aware. So he will use previously things that have had access to you in the past to warn you of something in your dreams. And he'll sometimes use, if you watch something that had something a little bit horrific in it, or you listen to something recently, he'll allow